chasing money. And unfortunately, we forget ourselves. So the reason for this presentation is basically about our health, our mental health is very important. And sleep counts a lot when it comes to mental health. Right. So we have a distinguished personality with us. He's the chairman for this meeting. I would like to introduce him briefly to you. He's also a Padua alumnus. He finished Padua in 1978, when most of us were not born. He has been very, very instrumental when it comes to the activities of Padua. He was a director for this immediate past speech and prize giving day. He was the director for the speech and prize giving day, right? So he's in the person of Dr. Simmons. He's a medical doctor, specifically consultant in hematology and senior research fellow UK. So I would like to humbly invite the chairperson or the chairman for this occasion to make some remarks, make some opening remarks before Dr. Coleman begins with his presentation. Over to you, Dr. Simmons. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, John, for inviting me to chair this. So I'm excited, actually, when it comes to matters dealing with medical sciences. I mean, that's a broad brush, but I mean, this is one of an example of various presentations which we need to take seriously. So this is about sleep, and I love the topic is sleep hygiene, mental health, and performance, and it's in fact all three tying quite well. What do we do if we're not properly rested? Well, I know what this is like, especially after having been on call, and I had to run a clinic the following morning. You feel quite hopeless. So we do need sleep. It's so vital for regenerative purposes. I'm not a neurologist, I'm a hematologist. But of course, in our preliminary years, we know much about neurology. I mean, I did a neurology rotation for about 6 months. So sleep is so important. And I can tell you on the average, I try to sleep anywhere between 7 to 9 hours. My weekends are long sleeps, and my children know that. I mean, I think every weekend I sleep for about 9 hours at the minimum, and I just refuse to wake up. I even tell my children that you have to let. We use the term lazy. By natural fact, you could be so exercised to laze. In so doing, you rest in the body, and then you be properly restored to to perform the duties ahead. So if we want to think straight, we need to rest properly. I think probably I'll not really encroach on what Richmond had to present, but I mean, if we don't learn anything, sleep is medicine. And we know that many of the problems we have is purely because we don't have good enough sleep, and it brings along so many diseases, some of which cannot be explained. So let's take this seriously, and let's see what Richmond tell us out of this. So Richmond, it's good you've managed to really put these together, and we'll love to hear from your rich experience with respect to sleep.
Thank you very much, Dr. Simmons. We are very happy to have you. Before Dr. Richmond Coleman begins with his presentation, I would like us to introduce ourselves. I'll begin with Henry. Henry, introduce yourself to us. Tell us your name, what you do, right, your organization, and the year you completed Padua. Thank you. Henry Dennis, are you there?
Oh, hi, guys. John, you're breaking. If you can take that again.
Yes, self-introduction, please. Just tell us your name, where you work, and the year you completed
okay.
Padua.
Okay, my full name is Henry Dennis. Currently the deputy head of ICT at the Star Life Insurance company. I left Padua in 2003. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Next, please.
Well, like
I
I
see
said,
man of God.
so
Who
again,
is that man of God?
yeah, okay. So probably I can just so I'm William Simmons. I'm of the year 78, completed Padua, and then went to Presec for my sixth form and into the medical school. Practicing as a consultant hematologist, and also has a research niche. So I've lived, in fact, my niche is mainly in aggressive lymphoma, and I hold a senior research scientist post in it. You could say it's a dual, it's a dual profession. Well, of course, John this introduced me as the director of the Speech and Prize Giving Day, but also I'm in charge really of the Padua Innovators and Affiliate Club, and we've done so much for the school.
Thank you, Dr. Simmons. Next, I see man of God. Who is that man of God?
Okay, man of God is Felix. Felix, your mate from Padua, O3 batch.
No,
So
that's good.
currently working with One Savings and Loans in Ghana here. I'm currently the branch manager. For the nature of my work, I go to work very early and I'm always the last to close from work. So I get to work around 6:37 and I leave work I get home around 9:10. So you can imagine how this sleep issue will be very important to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felix. Next, I see read.ai. Who is that? Read.ai.
John, you might have to skip that. It's just an AI that's able to
Okay.
translate
All right.
whatever we're doing into text.
Okay. Thank you very much.
John is, yeah. I think we've lost you there, John.
I think he was asking Alfred to introduce himself. So Alfred, if you could do that.
Winston.
Alfred.
Can't hear anything. Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yes, John, we can hear you.
Winston, introduce yourself, please. I see Jemima. Introduce yourself, Jemima.
I'm a teacher in the Ebenezer Secondary School. I'm the music teacher currently.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are happy to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right, Winston. Yeah, thanks for joining. Yeah.
Leonard.
Yeah, John, good evening to everybody. My name is Leonard Butch. I also completed Padua in 2003. Currently, I am working in Cape Coast at the College of Education. I work in the procurement department, and I'm in charge of stores and logistics. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie, please introduce yourself. Jamie, I see University of. Jamie, introduce yourself. Okay, Nancy.
Hello, sir. Yeah, good evening.
Introduce yourself. Okay.
Please, Kwao Nancy. I was in the 2023 year group. In the University of Ghana, Legon, level 100.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think John,
I
you
think John is having a challenge.
yeah, you frozen up. Yeah.
Okay, Bright, Francis, and Elizabeth, please, if you could hear us, can you see just a brief introduction about yourself so that we can proceed? Bright, Francis, and Elizabeth.
Correct. Yeah. I think it's Elizabeth. Elizabeth, can you hear? I think Elizabeth Amankwa.
Please, can you hear me? This is Bright.
Oh, Bright. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, 2001 batch Padua.
Okay.
I'm currently a tutor in one of the secondary schools in Eastern Region, a science tutor. Thank you.
Great. Good to hear from you. Francis, Elizabeth, can we hear your voices?
Elizabeth is Elizabeth. I'm not sure whether probably she's muted. Elizabeth, can you hear us? You can introduce yourself.
I think we have to start.
Yeah, okay, of course. Yeah.
Yes, I agree that there's really no time. So please, let's get on with it. Yeah.
Okay, because of the network issue, I'll just take off my video. And please, if I am, you are losing me, just draw my attention so that I can take it again. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Dr. Simon, Dr. Uche Friye, and all of you on the call. Because of the time, I would have to share the salient points so that we can have a discussion. Because I'm coming to talk about sleep, and I do not want to be the same reason why many of you are not going to sleep early today. So we'll be talking about sleep. In fact, sleep is something that we all do. In fact, we should do every night. But as you will see, at some point in time, we do not prioritize sleep. I talk about life after 30, not to say that sleep is not important if you are below 30. No. In fact, many of us here perhaps either may even be more than 30. But the point is that normally when people get to 30, 35, what have you, that's where we start working and all that. And at that point, because of workload, work demands, we are likely to sacrifice our sleep just to push one project out of the way. So in this particular presentation, John has given the background already, so I'm not going to rehash that point. We'll be looking at the basis of sleep, what habits affect our brain, our mood, and work, and some practical steps that we can take to improve our sleep hygiene. Now, why sleep matters after 30? The point is that once you hit 30 and above, 35, 40, your body is not as forgiving as it used to be. And poor sleep has been found to accelerate aging. In fact, a study that was conducted by, and I'll be mentioning him quite a lot, Walker, because Matthew Walker is a renowned scholar when it comes to sleep. And they found that for men, less than 5 hours a night of sleep literally shrinks your testicles to that of someone 10 years older. So if you are not, especially for men, if you are not sleeping well, less than 5 hours, it has a serious impact even on your reproductive system. For women, sleep loss disrupts hormones and also reproductive health. In fact, it doesn't stop there. Sleep can impact your mood, your focus, and immunity. And as the discussion unfolds, you will see some other studies that have been done that are able to show that, yes, these things actually happen. In fact, what that means is that sleep can decide whether you wake up. When you wake up, you are ready to lead with confidence, or you are just going to drag yourself throughout the day. And I'm sure many of us have experienced days where we just woke up and realized that throughout the day, we are just dragging ourselves. We are just struggling throughout the day. And there are days that we just wake up and we feel so refreshed, confident, and we are just beaming with a lot of positives. So this is the reason why sleep and issues of sleep really, really matter. Now, how does sleep work? Sleep basically works through two main forces. And here we are looking at the body's circadian rhythm and also the sleep pressure. In fact, these are the two main forces that regulate our sleep. As we know, the circadian rhythm is the natural clock that is tied to day and night. So normally when it is night, we are prepared to sleep. During the day, we are excited and energized to work. But it doesn't work. The circadian rhythm works alongside adenosine, which is basically a chemical that builds up in the brain to form what we call the sleep pressure. So during the day, we build sleep pressure, and then in the night, it's able to put us to sleep and then wake up the next day. So it is very important to understand that we can liken sleep to like a sponge, a dry sponge, if you like. So sleep actually rinses the sponge during the night when we are asleep. And then in the morning, it becomes more fresh for it to absorb new information. So if we are not sleeping, our brain is not able, as it were, to rinse out anything that there is, any information, for us to even have enough capacity to do more. So the circadian rhythm, the sleep pressure is very important. In fact, as you will see, having natural daylight, sunlight is even good enough to build enough sleep pressure. You would also see maybe latter part, if I'm not able to mention, that is the reason why if you want to take a nap, you want to take a nap around 12, 1, just like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, because the longer you sleep in the day, the less your sleep pressure and the more it becomes difficult for you to sleep in the night. So normally it's advisable after 2 or 3, you don't even want to take a nap at all, because if you sleep around that time, it is very likely that your sleep pressure will be low and it will take you longer hours to be able to sleep going forward. Now, sleep is not a universal condition, or if you like, it's not just a universal state. We actually sleep in cycles, and each cycle lasts for 90 minutes or even more. And there are a lot of repeated cycles, sometimes 4, 5, or 6 cycles during the night. Now, anytime we complete one sleep cycle, which is a 90-minute cycle, the body releases a hormone, a neuro hormone called oxytocin. And I'll talk more about this and what it does. But basically, it's a feel-good hormone that helps to calm us down. And the more we have in our system, the better we are able to approach even challenges with some confidence. So anytime we complete a sleep cycle, and every 90 minutes, this hormone is released into the system. Now, during the sleep stages, we have what we call the non-REM sleep or which is basically the deep sleep. That is the non-rapid eye movement sleep. There are about 3 stages in this state. So the first one is where you are just transitioning from your wakefulness to sleep. And then the second stage, which is also a bit shorter, the first one is quite short, about 7-10 minutes. Then the next one is also about 20 minutes, where basically your heartbeat drops a little bit, your temperature also goes down a little bit. And then you move to the deep sleep itself, the non-REM sleep, where there is what we call memory file transfer. This is the point where all your new memories or all the information, new things you have learned during the day are now transferred from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. Then you move into another state of sleep called the REM sleep. This is the dream-rich stage of sleep where your emotions are reset and it also boosts your creativity. So during REM sleep or the REM state, this is where we tend to dream. You want to ask yourself, when was the last time you had a dream? A good dream that you woke up and were just happy. Some of us, perhaps in the last month or 2 or more, we have never dreamt before. It tells you within the cycle of sleep where you are able to reach to. Some of us, we are able to get to. Maybe you are just doing very shallow, light sleep. You are not able to sleep very, very deep. You quickly wake up and then you go back to sleep again and then you wake up. Now, we need both REM and non-REM sleep during the night because we need to consolidate our memories and also we need to reset our emotions. So think of REM and non-REM sleep as the case of non-REM sleep providing storage and REM sleep restoring our emotions, refreshing us and preparing us for the next day. And so we want to sleep very well. Quality sleep requires that we have both REM sleep and non-REM sleep. And that is why I talk about sleep hygiene. Now, sleep hygiene, I want to look at it at some best practices or some conditions that we need to adhere to have quality sleep. And one of them is having regular bedtime and wake time. In fact, when it comes to sleep, consistency is king. Going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, even on weekends, is very important. Many of us have alarm watches for waking up, but we don't have one for sleeping. And one of the things you need to also know is that nobody goes to sleep. Rather, sleep has to come and take you. So you have to develop some sleep rituals so that you can build some sleep pressure and then you can easily go to sleep. And so one of the practices that promote sleep hygiene is to have a regular bedtime and wake time. You also want to sleep in a cool, dark, quiet room. It's also one of the practices of sleep hygiene. It is also important that to talk about sleep hygiene, you want to limit late night coffee or like caffeine, screens. So normally after 3-4 p.m., you want to avoid coffee, you want to avoid black tea, you want to avoid those kind of beverages, energy drinks that have some caffeine component, because these things can interrupt with your sleep and you may not be able to enjoy good sleep. For example, if you want to do alcohol, somewhere late in the night, you may have to break your sleep and go and wee or just wake up at some point in time. So they actually disrupt your sleep. And so sleep hygiene requires that we have regular bedtime. We sleep in a very cool, dark, quiet room. There is no late caffeine or screens. Our bed, one of the things that we need to pay attention to is that our bed is for sleep. This time around, maybe let me revise it quickly. It's for sleep and the other thing. Apart from these two things, we want to use the bed in that way. So normally, if you go to bed and you stay on your bed for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you are not able to sleep, it is better to get out of the bed and do something else. Just do some activity. When you feel sleepy, you come back. Because when you still remain awake on your bed, your brain associates wakefulness with your bed. So you can be there and then you just you are not able to sleep because your brain is not able to process at that point in time exactly what you want to do. So it is always important that anytime we visit our bed, we are going to sleep. And when we are awake, we wake up and do something else. That is one way that we can sleep very easily and maintain long sleep. That is why I wanted us to take the poll so that I can measure how long we are able to sleep on the average. Mr. Dennis, are you able to get the results of the poll?
Yes. Hold on a second. Let me see how many people. Maybe they are not informed, but I've dropped a link. Nobody has.
Okay. Let's use what we have. What we have so far. How many people so far?
I'm the only person who's worked on the poll.
Oh,
so
sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
I wish we are taking
the link.
polls
The
now.
link. Yeah, the link. I dropped the link in the chat so they can click it and no.
Okay, but I wanted to use that to test whether we are having enough sleep or not. But maybe
I went out.
We can move on. We can move on if
sure,
they
sure,
do
let's
that.
move on. Yeah,
and then we have the results.
Yeah,
You can share.
So you can announce it again. Everybody can go there to the chat, click the link, and select your sleep hours.
Yes, please kindly do that, because I wanted to see the levels of sleep that each one of us is having, because that is also very important. And sometimes there is a trend in all some of the presentations that I've done. I'm seeing people doing 5 hours and even sometimes less, which is very, very dangerous when I see that. But sometimes I'm not surprised, because these things are also entrenched in certain myth that we have inherited, and we tend to more or less and hold on tight to these kind of myth. For example, we equate sleep even with laziness. There is a certain stigma associated with sleep, to the extent that when somebody loves to sleep, he is perceived as being lazy. I, for example, do not remember when I was growing up, when I really slept and saw myself on bed at 6 or 5 or even 5:30. Sometimes around 3:30, 4:30, your mother will just come and wake you up. Hey, go and sweep, go and do this, go and do. And all this, the idea was that, you know what, we want to train you to become strong and all that. And so we were not allowed to sleep well. But science will tell you that no, this idea of sleep being equated to laziness is not the case at all. People need to sleep because sleep does a whole lot of good to the human brain and body. I also recall what we call the all-nighters, where people are being admonished to burn the midnight candle and just be studying and studying and studying. And so back then, secondary school, you will see people like Dr. Osuefiye and Mr. Bejo and Mr. Kofiana and Co. were always intimidating us, because they were just burning those midnight candles, and we just couldn't help than to follow suit and do the same thing. But as you will see in some subsequent slides, you realize that, in fact, studies have shown that an all-nighter wipes out 40% of our memory. In other words, there's a 40% memory drop if we stay all night to just study. And it is something that we need to look at it and talk about it very well. What recent studies have shown is that there are 2 best times to study. One best time is when you are going to sleep, because in that case, once you have your deep non-REM sleep, there is some consolidation of those new memories into the long-term memory. So it is very helpful to do some heavy studying before you go to sleep. The second best time is when you wake up from sleep. So the moment you wake up from sleep, those few early hours, at that point, like I just gave you the analogy of the sponge, the brain is fresh to accept new information. So as a student, this is also the critical time that you also want to study. And if people are taking advantage of these very important critical times, you can still do much, much better without necessarily burning the midnight candle, as it were. And there's also another myth where people say that, oh, I'll catch up with the sleep. So this week, Monday to Friday, I'm just going to work so hard. And then during the weekend, I'll sleep many, many hours. You see, sleep is not like a bank where you can accumulate debt or credit and then you pay later. Once it is gone, it is gone. And if there's any hit you have to receive for it, you do so. So the most important thing, like I mentioned earlier, is just to be consistent. And we need to demystify some of these myths that is affecting particularly the educational population. Now,
sorry, Richmond, can I just stop you for a minute? Prior to the audience, if anybody has a burning question, I guess probably could allow probably about 2 to 3 interruptions. Feel free to answer questions, but for a greater part of the time, we'll allow Richmond to continue with the presentation. It's very interesting. Thanks.
Thank
Richmond.
you. Thank you. Now, let me also show you how sleep also affects our performance. You see, if you're having poor sleep, your attention span drops. So there is poor focus, and then your memory inbox technically shuts down if your sleep is poor. And here we are talking about 5 hours or less. It can affect your memory. You cannot form new memories, and sometimes you tend to forget. In fact, there are studies that even but associate poor sleep with the potential development of dementia and Alzheimer's. And you know that these are memory disorders that often occurs, especially with age, when we are getting to 40, 50, thereabout. And so if we are not sleeping well, potentially, we can also be at risk even to dementia and Alzheimer's. We are also more likely to make a lot of mistakes and poor decisions on the job if we are not sleeping well. Just think about a driver in the traffic, or a banker who is checking some numbers, or even a nurse giving medication, or a pilot driving a plane who is having a poor sleep. How do you think that he's going to perform? And so sleep has a very direct effect on our attention, on our memory, on our focus and concentration, and that can impact seriously on our work output. So if we want to protect our performance, our work output, then we also want to take sleep very seriously. Indirectly, sleep also impacts our mental health too as well, because poor sleep erodes our mental health. In fact, it makes you more anxious. And here I want to go back to what I was explaining earlier, that we sleep for 90 in cycles. So every cycle you complete one sleep. Every 90 minutes you complete one sleep cycle. Now, anytime you complete a sleep cycle, oxytocin is released into the system. Now, if you sleep for 8 hours, it means that you would have, if like the optimum dose of oxytocin for the night, which is very good. If you do 6 hours, you get 4. But if you do 8 hours, you get 5, and 5 is the best. So if you are doing like 3 hours, you are doing like 4 hours, you are just getting about only 1 dose of oxytocin. So you know, those of us who have experienced this before, when you don't sleep well, you sleep like 4 hours, sometimes you wake up, your facial expression is even problematic. Once you wake up not sleeping well, your kids, your wife, the people around you, the way you even approach them, there's a whole lot of negative emotion in you. But when we are relaxed, we sleep 8 hours and we enjoy our sleep, how do we feel when we wake up? You see, sometimes we even step down from our bed systematically because we've had good sleep. And then we look forward into the future with a lot of confidence. That is not to say that we are not going to face challenges. We will, but we are very optimistic and confident that we'll be able to overcome any challenge that comes our way. So when we sleep well, with the amount of oxytocin that is released into the system, we are able to manage stress better. We are able to also regulate our emotions even better. Now, if you want, I can maybe let me use this simple practical example of how oxytocin works. You know, when you are in love for the first few days or weeks or month or so, all of us have been in love before. See, there's so much joy and happiness that sometimes you do not even see anything wrong with your partner. And that's those few days or weeks, you see that person as an angel, a perfect person, to the extent that even when people are drawing your attention to one or two things, you will not even see it. In fact, you don't even want to pay attention. That is how the oxytocin works. It makes you always feel good, even about negative things. But normally, when these oxytocin has depleted after some time, now we look at our love and all that, we realize that so this thing and all that, yes. So oxytocin is very good, and especially when it comes to dealing with challenges, we need a lot more of that. And that is why it is not the best to be sleeping 4 hours or 5 hours. What you want to target is 7 or 8 hours every day, so that you could have a better sleep. You can regulate your mood and also deal with stress better. Now, if you are not able to deal with stress better, what happens is that it creates a certain dangerous loop where now your sleep is affecting your mood, and then your mood is also affecting your sleep in that cycle, and you need to break that going forward. But in doing this presentation, I also needed to bear in mind of the local realities that sometimes hurt our sleep. We are all living in places where there is noise, commuter stress. Somebody just related to us that he has to go get to work by 6:30 or 7. So by 4:30, he's already on the road. So the commuter stress alone can impact the amount of time you can have to sleep in your bed. The exam all-nighter culture is also another thing that also impacts our sleep. Shift work and factory schedules. In fact, many of us may have to do some shift work, maybe from nurses or security guards, and all these things may somehow affect our ability to sleep well, because it may break our sleep one way or the other. Apart from that, we may also have to use our phone. The social media late night is also there. And so these things are there that sometimes makes it difficult for us to abide by a proper sleep hygiene. But like I said, after 30, after 35, 40 going, we need to prioritize our sleep. We need to be intentional about when we want to sleep and how we want to sleep. We cannot take it for granted, because there is a certain growing sleep loss epidemic that people are not taking it seriously, and it is really affecting people. Like John, you explained, when I heard Moses' experience, I was really, really saddened that why should this fine gentleman go through this? And this is how, if we take sleep for granted, sometimes we may find ourselves in. Two of my students, my master's student, Nathaniel Agboji and Stacy Kilson Akins, conducted very interesting study recently now for their MPhil thesis. And in the study for Nathaniel, for example, he was looking at emotional labor and how that affects occupational depression, and looking at the role of sleep in this relationship. Now, when we talk about emotional labor, we are talking about that kind of job where it is required of us to always put up a positive emotion. So whether you're a teacher, you're a nurse, or a doctor, a customer service person, a media journalist, when you come onto the television or you are serving customers, you are expected to smile at them. You're expected to always put up a very cheerful face. But sometimes within you, you're not feeling okay. So anytime your job requires you, it is part of it's a requirement. For example, you are working as a within the hospitality industry, either as a waitress or a waiter, and you are required to always smile at customers and be cheerful and be laughing towards them. Sometimes you have not been paid, you are not happy, you are not motivated, but your job expects that you always put up good face. Emotional, that is what we call emotional labor. In fact, those of you could recall Komla Dumont, who died some years back, in one of the notes that he left behind, he actually explained to the extent that he was actually going through emotional labor because there were times that he was not feeling okay within, but his job requires that he has to smile to the set. Now, when Nathaniel conducted this study in Ghana, he observed that yes, people that emotionally engage in emotional labor, where sometimes they have to fake or put up a certain expression when deep within they are not feeling okay, they are likely or they have the potential to show some depressive symptoms. But what is even more serious is that sleep loss actually worsens the situation. So when the person is having good sleep, it is able to moderate that relationship so that the onset of any depressive symptoms is reduced. But where the person is having very poor sleep, it means that the depression even becomes even worse. And that, I think, is very interesting. The other one, Kelson Akins, also conducted a study among financial workers. Here we are looking at bankers and insurance people and all that. And he was looking at workload because within the bank and the financial sector, the workload is really huge. And he was looking at workload and autonomy and how these things affect mental health outcomes. And once again, the study was able to establish a positive relationship between extreme workload, or moderate to high workload, and that of mental health. Once again, sleep was a significant moderator of the relationship to the extent that when people are going through a lot, their workload, their work demands is very high, but they are sleeping well, it is able to reduce the impact on their mental health. But where their sleep quality is also below par, then it worsens the relationship. And that is very, very interesting to help us see the role of sleep, even at the workplace and when it comes to our mental health. I also want to draw your attention to Matthew Walker once again in a study that they conducted looking at sleep, learning, and our memory. Now, in this study, Walker and the team actually had two groups of students. One group slept for 8 hours during the night, and the other pulled an all-nighter. In other words, they didn't sleep throughout the night, they were just studying. Now, after the study, after the experiment, the next day, what they did was that they put all these students on MRI scan. And the MRI scan showed that the sleep-deprived groups, their hippocampus, and hippocampus is one of the brain structures that is also regulates our memories, responsible for our memory. Now, the study observed that the sleep-deprived group, their hippocampus, or if you like, their memory inbox, was basically shut down. So the point is that when people are not sleeping well throughout the night, especially as students, there is a 40% memory loss. So you can imagine going into an exam with almost half of your memory wiped clean. And this is what an all-nighter does. And it's important that we try to educate young ones, our kids, and students around in terms of the best strategies to learn. And I listened to Kofi Annan's audio where he was talking about we have been doing this thing whilst in school and all that, to the extent that now we have grown with it, to the extent that now we find it difficult to even sleep well. We just sleep for 3-4 hours and then we have to wake up to go and do something else. So there is clear scientific evidence that depriving ourselves of sleep or sleep loss can affect our academic performance and also our memory. Another interesting thing to note is that sleep also has an impact on our immunity, and health risk. One bad night, for example, just having like 4 hours of sleep can drop your immune cell activity by 70%. And that is a drop in your body's defense system. In other words, your body's defense system totally switched off. According to the WHO, even any form of night shift work, so night shift is a probable carcinogen. What it means is that it is likely to cause cancer. So the WHO has classified any form of night work as a probable carcinogen. So please, when you miss sleep, you are not only going to be tired, but rather you are becoming vulnerable. And it's important that we take sleep very seriously as we move on. It is interesting to note, I mentioned this earlier, that sleep is also related to longevity. In fact, poor sleep doesn't just make you feel old. It literally makes you old. A study that was conducted observed that 1 week of 6 hours sleep per night altered the activity of over 700 genes. Some switched off the immune protection, others switched on inflammation and even tumor growth. Now, this finding, especially again by Walker, was a bit brutal. But in fact, that is the reality, that the shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. And so if we want to live longer, then we want to sleep well. We need to have sufficient sleep. Sleep is a non-negotiable biological necessity, especially at this point where we are aging 30, 45, 50, 60 going. We want to have enough sleep. It is very, very important. So enough of if you like, putting you in a scary mood or whatever. What can we do? Let's look for solutions. Well, let me share some strategies, but of course, during the question and answer time, I would be able to add more to this. It's important to even make this point that human beings are the only species that defer sleep. Human beings, take note, are the only species that defer sleep. When we are going to sleep at night, oh, okay, let me send this email, let me send this message, let me do this. So we are sometimes just postponing sleep or shifting it when we are supposed to sleep. At least those of us who used to have some poultry at home, sometimes we see that these chickens, they may be fighting, but the moment it's around 6, 5, it's time to sleep. You see that they just stop the fight and then go into their cage and go and sleep. In the morning, when they are awake, they just come out, and while they come out, they are just fighting again. They continue the fight. But they know that when it's sleep time, let's go and sleep. We can fight later. But humans know. And because of that, there is no buffer in nature to support sleep loss. And that is where the problem is. And that's why I mentioned earlier that there's nothing like you're catching up. Once it is gone, it's gone. And so we need to prioritize it. And that is why we need to have a proper sleep routine. Keep a regular sleep time, sleep at the same time, and wake up at the same time. We need to have a bedtime, all of us. So just look at your schedule. When can you go to sleep? And then try as much as possible to maintain that. If you continue to do this for some time, your body's circadian rhythm will just adjust to it. So that by the time it gets to the point, maybe at 9 you want to sleep, you are able to engage in certain routines that will help you to build enough sleep pressure so that you can sleep. Limit caffeine, alcohol, and the screen. We want to have a proper sleep routine where maybe before you go to sleep, you want to read, you want to take some water, you want to put your phones off so that you can prepare your body to sleep. The room is advised to be a bit dark, cool, quiet, so that can help you, In fact, not just help you per se, but help you to benefit from restorative sleep, where during the dark, in the dark, your skin can also repair itself. Like I mentioned earlier, it is not the best thing to do to be lying on bed whilst waiting to be asleep. When you do that, it is like going to sit by the dining table waiting to be hungry to eat. No, nobody goes to sit at a table to get angry. No. So there's no need for you to go and lie in bed to get asleep. You go to bed when you are sleepy. So once you are on the bed 15, 20 minutes and you are not sleeping, get out, do something. When you are feeling sleepy, you go back. Your bed, like I mentioned earlier, should be equal to your sleep. Sleep and then maybe one more other thing. But apart from that, we do not want to use our bed for so many things that our body and our brain becomes confused in terms of what we are using the bed for. During the day at work, we also want to tackle tough tasks early in the day, because all these things also help to build enough sleep pressure. Also, you also want to take some breaks. You want to hydrate. These things help you to manage your stress and your emotions better, because when your stress levels are also high, if you find it difficult to sleep well in the night. We want to avoid late night emails and messages and all that, and discourage the idea that sleep equals laziness. And here I'm speaking to those of us who are parents and who have kids at home. Let us help them to learn how to sleep well. Let us help them to build a proper sleep hygiene. Encourage them to do so. Help them to develop a sleep time and then also a wake time too as well. And I'm sure they will be really, really grateful to you for helping them do that. If you're a night worker, either as a nurse or a security person or so, please, when you come home, protect your rest times. Unfortunately, when people come home and they are supposed to use that time to rest, that is where they are now supervising a project somewhere, they are doing some other work somewhere, so they barely sleep. If you do that, you are just putting yourself at risk. So in summary, and to open up for some questions and answers, sleep is basically a life support, and it is not a luxury. So we should not take it for granted. Poor sleep leads to weak memory, bad mood, and also negative health, both mental health and also our physical health. But if we are sleeping well, then that is likely to make us even more sharper academically, calmer, and also healthier. So at this point, I want to thank you very much for your attention and maybe open up for some discussion. John, what time are we closing so that people can have enough time to sleep?
Right. Okay. So can I chip that in? I mean, I think you really just in time. And if you want to add some more, that would be good. But again, the floor will be open and probably for about 10 minutes for those who have burning questions, and we can continue the presentation unless you finish, Richmond. So
yes, I want to end here rather so that we can rather discuss. We discuss more so that can also enrich the discussion. I want it to be a discussion, so I think it's fine here.
That's
we can
excellent.
Now talk.
So this essentially, so there's that part of interactivity, and we'll encourage that. So the first question is coming from John. John, Dr. Musia Afriye. Do you want to ask your question, John?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you very much, Dr. Simmons. Coleman, thanks for your presentation. It's very, very insightful. And before I ask my question, I want to say rest in peace to our former boys prefect, the late Moses Okai. Rest in peace to his soul. May the Lord accept his soul. Amen. Yes, so my question is there a correlation between sleeping time and our BP level, our blood pressure level? Is there a correlation between the two? And also, my questions are two, right? This is the first one. Is there a correlation between sleeping time and BP level? The second one is, you made mention that if you sleep, okay, it's even on the slide, poor sleep leads to weak memory. Right. But when we were in school, we were not sleeping. We were burning the midnight oil. We were not sleeping. And we were passing our exams. All right. So what explanation do you have for that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think that is, let me take it from the last point that you raised. That the last point in terms of there are evidence of people who were not sleeping well, but they were still passing their exams, like you mentioned yourself and all that, which is possible, which is true and all that. But of course, we are looking at all this within a general population, whether that is really the case. Of course, there are so many things that may also play in, as part of your performance. It's not only, of course, your studies, or your motivation, your interest. All these things can help you to do better. But from what we are learning now, and we are seeing from a lot of neurological studies, we are seeing that when people are not sleeping, it is rather affecting their memories. And like I mentioned earlier, the point is that after a certain, maybe the body may forgive us at that stage. But as we are aging, we do not want to take sleep for granted. So the possibility will be that, yes, at that level, our systems may be strong and they can stand, resilient enough to stand some of the pressure we're putting on it. But when you are aging, you may not want to put yourself through that. So that is one. However, there is also other better ways that people can have very good sleep without necessarily burning the midnight candle, as it were, and still do better. And if you ask me between the two, which one I should go for, I think I'll go for that one rather than asking people to sacrifice their sleep and then also do well in exams. So it's more about our health. And you see, because we practice that and it somehow went well for us, it has become part and parcel of us to the extent that today we are not sleeping well as we should. And so it is a narrative we need to, going forward, change to know that that is not the only best way. In fact, that is not the best way to study. There's a better way to study that is much more merciful, if you like, to your body and your brain than just sleeping all night, studying all night without sleeping. So that is it. Again, it is also important to know that when we sleep, during healthy sleep, especially the deep non-REM sleep, our blood pressure drops about 10 to 20%. So this actually gives some rest to our cardiovascular system, and that is very protective. But if you are not sleeping, it means that your heart is beating and beating. It doesn't get time to rest. And so after some time, you are likely to develop these cardiovascular problems. So you just need enough rest. You just need enough rest to allow other body systems to also relax or to rest. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks so much,
you.
Richmond. I mean, probably in the course of the presentation, Richmond did mention, we can sort of take advantage of the body's plasticity, after the age of 30, and thereafter it's very, very difficult, to pay back. So in school, I mean, I guess why many of us finished school just around 2025, and we tend, I don't want to use the word abuse, but the body can bounce back quite effectively. So that's the reason we don't realize that we actually causing harm to the body, John. So that's, I mean, we have more than 30 minutes for interactive chats, and I'm sure many have questions. I have some few questions actually on the chat column. So this is coming from Eric Aja Yao. Now it's saying now probably out of 24 hours, we try to encourage at least 8 hours sleep. Can we stagger this number of hours? So, for example, can we go to bed at noon, at midnight, for 4 hours, and then the daytime we could do the other 4 hours? Probably before you
Yeah.
answer that question, Richmond,
Okay.
in the European countries, at times they tend to have a nap in the afternoon. I'm not sure whether there's a scientific basis for that. Apparently, it does improve performance. So even if they break for about 30 minutes or an hour, let's say in the afternoon, and go back to work, there's increased efficiency and doesn't really interfere with their performance in the rest of the day, or even affect their sleep pattern through the night. Do you have any take on that, together with
Yeah.
Eric's question?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, you see, during the day, we are seeking to build sleep pressure so that we can sleep in the night. So you can take a nap, which is great, but it's advisable to not to do so normally after 3 p.m. going. So if you can take a nap around 12:01, but it shouldn't even be more than 30 minutes. It should be a very quick one. That is what is more productive. But if you spend a lot of hours sleeping during the day, it becomes very difficult to sleep well or sleep long hours in the night. Now, someone may say that, well, I'm not able to do long 8 hours of sleep, or I'm going to stagger it. I'm going to do some 2 hours, going to do some 4 hours, going to do all that. What normally I say when I receive this question is that I just told you that sleep is not a universal, it's not one thing. We are sleeping in cycles. After every 90 minutes, we complete one sleep cycle. So if you are within the cycle and you wake up, it means that that cycle did not complete. So the point is that if you are breaking your sleep, and that is why it is not even good to be sleeping and waking up and going to wee and come back and continue and all that. You are breaking your sleep. The sleep, you should enjoy a very long, restful sleep. And so, Agile, for some people, they may want to do 4 hours and do some 4 hours later. Maybe that will be 8 hours, but because that 8 hours will not give you 5 doses of oxytocin. It may give you maybe about 2 or 3 or 4, if you like. So because of the break in there. But if that is what, given your circumstance, you have to do, why not? But preferably, the person should push to do 6 hours, 7 hours, or 8 hours of sleep. That is better, and that is much more better to your health.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I hope, Eric, JL, your answer, you've had your answer, have you? I guess it. Okay, so the next question is coming from Mr. Winston. He is the head of the music department. And, he said in Accra, the traffic and the economic issues are not helping people sleep optimally. Now, what do you do? He wonders, with it. Well, is there a way around this? I mean, I guess probably at night, should we assume that there'll be some quietness and therefore can help with sleep?
Of course, that's the more reason why I alluded to our own local realities. These days, all of us, we have closed our doors, our windows. We are not even opening it for fresh air because of thieves and mosquitoes and all that. So we are just managing and sleeping in hot temperatures, which is not even good. So the conditions around us, in fact, is not making sleep even a choice. It's like our culture, our environment is really, really impeding our sleep. And that is the more reason why we have to be intentional and prioritize it. It may not start from today, but even if you have it at the back of your mind that I need to be mindful of my sleep, it may lead to adding some 30 minutes or 1 hour to the already 4 hours you're already doing every month or every day, or 5 hours you are doing every day, by increasing it to maybe from 4 to 5 or 5 to 6 or 6 to 7. Just having that thought keeping that fresh and available in your head will make you find ways to sleep better, because it is about your health, it's about you. So you can find ways to squeeze and sleep better, because the conditions around us is taking almost all our time. And so if we don't take care, we want to just sacrifice our sleep and just work or just set off and all that. Of course, unfortunately, our workplaces, I am an organizational psychologist. We talk to employers that they should encourage people commuting and working from home. But many people are not amenable to these kind of arrangements. So all of us are forced to get to the workplace at the same time. And because of that, and of course, Accra is almost congested. So many of us are leaving far places. We just have to now leave home by 4:30 just to get to town and all that. These things are not helpful. And that is why sometimes I speak to parents, especially in my career counseling sessions with parents. Normally what I tell them, especially because I'm seeing a lot of young ones. The last time I was just driving to work around just about 4:30, and I saw two children. I think the oldest would be like 5 years. And they were going to school alone. Nobody was with them. I said, oh, but why? This kid should be sleeping like 2 more hours. Why are they on the road? Why are they going? It tells you that the parents too have to leave. And so, and we want our parents to also, our kids to also do well. Like John was talking about the fact that we used to be doing this and some of us did well. That is the case. Some of us did well, but there are others too that didn't. And to be smart, our creativity is also impacted if we are not allowing the brain to consolidate its memories. So the population in terms of people that are benefiting from staying all night studying, and those that are more or less in terms of those who are staying all night studying, the people that are benefiting is not that huge. It's really not that huge. And like you mentioned, there's plasticity. So certainly our body can easily at that tender age repair itself and quickly take a comeback or bounce back. But when we are growing, we want to be very careful. So please, let us be mindful of our own situations and then see what best we can do to sleep well. I'm not asking everybody to sleep from tomorrow going maybe 8 hours if you are not used to that, but at least add 1 hour to whatever you have been doing. If you are doing 4 hours, do 5 hours. If you are doing 5, do 6. With time, you can increase it. Let us sleep well, because like one scholar mentioned, sleep is nature's best attempt to immortality. And so we just do not want to take it for granted. We just don't want to take it for granted.
Yeah, thank you. Again, this is a period of interactivity, and we have ample time. But I can see 3 hands up. Is Alfred, Leonard, and then Henry, Dennis. So the questions will go to them. But again, just at the back of what Richmond just said. I mean, well, whilst listening to you and what happens in the urban areas, but I thought probably it's why to gravitate towards the village. Because we know that many of those who live for a long time tend to live in the villages.
You're right.
I know that because, in fact, one of my well again is an old lady whose daughter got married to one of my brothers, and she lived in the village, and she lived to 105. And I always remember when I was young, she never took any medicine. So there must be some goodness living in the village where you have peace and quiet. So anyhow, so the next question goes to Henry Dennis. Henry, can you ask your question? Probably you can unmute yourself.
I think Leonard has had his arm up for a while, so I might as well allow Leonard to go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that then. So Leonard, do you want to do that? And then Alfred, it will be your turn.
Okay. Thank you very much for this thing that we are all doing for ourselves. My question has to do with the fact that doctor mentioned that the WHO did, was it a research or something, and they came out with the fact that those who actually work in night, can develop cancer. So my question has to do with the fact that in reality, some people do night work, security people and other people. So in that case, what are we going to do about that?
And nurses. So we have an issue, Elena. That's a good question.
Yeah, and then my second one has to do with where others also sleep, more than the 8 hours. Is there anything that doctor can say to that? Thank you. More than 8 hours, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, well, of course, if you have the luxury to sleep more than 8 hours, then that is, of course, you can't sleeping too long for 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours is not too right because of the timing. Certainly, you may have to go to work and all that. But of course, if you have the luxury and you can even extend it for another 2 hours more, that is okay. For example, our dear brother who died, he said he was sleeping literally for 2 days. That is a problem. That is a problem because it can even affect what we call your executive functioning, executive memory too as well, because you have to work, you have to be doing this and all that. So sleeping for a very long hours, 2 days, the whole day and all that, not necessarily, but 10 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, it's fine. It's fine. But of course, it can be very challenging and difficult for somebody to be doing that on regular basis. What we can normally manage on the average could be 7 hours, 8 hours, which, mind you, at the end of these 8 hours, you may have the benefit of certain neural hormones that will help you to also deal with challenges better. So that is it. Now, in terms of the WHO classification of night work or shift work as a probable carcinogen, yes, that is the case. So doctors, nurses, security people, they are all at risk. And the advice, of course, nobody can say that because of that, then we should prohibit night work. No, it's like those who are producing tobacco. They will tell you that tobacco is not good for your health and all that, but it's still in production. So what it means is that people, and I mentioned this earlier, people that find themselves in this kind of work. In fact, there are some industries that we work for, and I do some of these EAPs for some multinational companies, even in the industrial areas. And when we meet with these factory workers, and even with the employers themselves, we tell them that yes, after the person has finished the night work, they need to be encouraged to go home and sleep. But the point is that it is better to sleep in the night than during the day, because during the day, there's a lot of noise, background noise. So many things can disrupt your sleep, so that you'll be waking up at some point in time. You may not enjoy proper sleep. But ideally, people should be encouraged to sleep, get home, create an ambience, an environment that mimics the night, give them some earplugs, some blindness, so that when they sleep, they can plug their ears so that they do not become distracted based on some noise in the background and all that. These are some of the things that, if you like, employers or organizations that have night work are supposed to do for those night shift workers. That is what has to be done. But as to whether it is being done is one thing. But I also mentioned, I've also seen situations where even people that are doing night work, when they are asked to go home and sleep, some of them are using that time to do some other work somewhere. Some are also supervising a project somewhere, because they do not think that sleep is that important. That is all. But if you think that sleep is that important from work, you want to come straight and come and take sleep and then go back again. So we have to prioritize self-care and make sure that even if our organization is not providing us the necessary equipment that can aid our sleep during the day, we provide those things for ourselves and make sure that we sleep and sleep well during the day. So that is it, Leonard.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you, Doc.
That's a very good question. Again, we have a good period of interaction. It's about 25 more minutes. So the next question then is Alfred. I'm not sure, Alfred, you did raise your hand, but do you have a question still burning?
Yeah, I think I have a question
Okay.
for, yeah.
For Richmond,
Thank
yeah,
you, Dr.
Dr. Coleman.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Coleman, for a very nice presentation. It has actually helped me a lot. I've learned a lot on this discussion. But my question is, some of us are used, some of us are, we are used to sleeping late. We are used to sleeping late.
Nocturnal beings.
Some of us are used, we are used in sleeping late. Even if we try to sleep early, it's difficult for us to sleep early. So in this situation, how are you going to help us in this situation? Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Before Richmond answers that question, let me just say that don't forget sleep, neurology, psychology. It's still a science, and things are evolving. So we could say there's a generality. There's a curve called Gaussian curve, where this really applies to about 70% of us. And then there is the 15% on either side of the curve who you could say they fall within the realm of atypical presentations. So there could be some of us who are sort of nocturnal being and probably will thrive and say, well, okay, I've slept, I've never slept, early at night, but yet I'm still above 70 and my brain is functioning. There are few who are quite atypical because this is still science, is statistical, and many of these inferences, come from statistics. We tend to lump all under general conclusions. That's 70% of us. So that's one. The other thing is that we do have vulnerability, and so it's important for many of us to sleep for longer hours. Probably these two ought to be borne in mind. It is possible that after 5 years, some of these sciences will change, but until now, we accept the norm that sleeping most of the time at night is a good one. So, Richmond, can I allow you then to chip in Alfred's question about nocturnal beings?
Yes. So after you see, we have basically two groups of people. We have the nocturnal beings, the night owls, who naturally they prefer late night sleep. So they then have to sleep late in the night and wake up late in the morning. And then you have those that are the morning larks, who are the early to bed, early to rise type. So being a late night sleeper, sort of, is not automatically unhealthy, but it becomes only if you do not get enough sleep. And getting enough sleep, we are talking about having like 7 to 8 hours. So if you go to bed at 10, 11, 12, then you have to wake up late in the morning. And if your schedule and what the work that you do allows you to do that, that is great. So the problem is with the late sleeping is that because of work, because of school, because of family schedules, we often tend to wake up early. And so if you sleep very late, you are going to cut your sleep short. And this is going to create, if you like, some social jet lag, where during the day you are likely to have some poor concentration, there is fatigue, there is higher stress, increased level of other problems too as well, because you are not sleeping well. I remember when I was in the university, and let me even share my own personal experience. We were practically studying very late into the night. So normally we go to sleep just around 12 So we go out from 12, sometimes 1 a.m. thereabout, or we may go around 11 p.m. and then we'll come back around 3 thereabout, and then we all come back. Sometimes we go at 9, yes, I think 9 p.m. and then we'll come back around 2, 3. And I was practicing this. I did that. You know, when after finishing my undergraduate degree and I came home, anytime I slept, I woke up at 3. Anytime. Even when I slept at 2, and I slept at 2 a.m., I wake up at 3 a.m. I sleep at 12, I wake up at 3 a.m. And sleep was becoming very difficult. So at some point in time, and you know, once you wake up, the problem is that once we sleep and then we wake up early, then quickly you start doing something. I pick my laptop, I pick my phone, I start doing something. And that is where the problem is. So for those of us who are struggling to sleep for long hours, normally you sleep like 3-4 hours. The advice is that once you do 3 hours or 4 hours, 3 hours of sleep or 4 hours of sleep, and then you wake up, don't take your phone. Don't put on your laptop or what. Don't just lie down and just be engaging in some deep breathing exercise. Just try to be meditating on a few things. Try to put yourself back to sleep again. And once after some 15-20 minutes, you are not able to sleep, just get up, just go out, sit somewhere, maybe in the couch or so, relax there. If you are feeling sleepy, come back again. The moment you continue to practice this, your body, your brain begins to learn quickly that you still want to sleep more. With time, you realize that you are now able to increase your sleep. You stop waking up from 3 and you can extend that to 5 or so. And that's what has helped me to the extent that now that kind of episode, that 3 p.m., 3 a.m. episode has now stopped. So it is important that you try as much as possible, if possible, at least sleep early. Because when you stay late in the night, those artificial lights also interrupt your sleep, because the please, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you, Richmond. Yes, we can hear you. Can you
Yeah,
hear us?
the exposure to those bright screens at night, they also suppresses melatonin too as well, and so they delay your sleep even further. And so the best thing is always try and sleep early so that you can wake up early. But of course, if your work allows you to sleep late and then wake up late in the day, then that is also fine. But whatever the case may be, you may just have to adjust to your bedtime, because you are giving yourself 7 to 8 hours. So if I'm going to sleep at 12, then I'm going to wake up somewhere around 7 or 8. So if you can do that adjustment and go by that, consistency is very important. If you can keep that, then that is good for you.
Yeah, that's a very good answer, Richmond. Alfred, I guess probably you're satisfied with the answer, aren't you?
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, okay. And again, don't forget, I mean, what we're talking about it applies to about 70% of us. There are some of us who are very atypical. You know, we could say we are some of the abnormal ones. I mean, I know of even a prime minister who slept consistently for more than 50 years, you know, for less than 5 hours, and she lived till 90. But we only knew that when in the latter part of her life, for about the last 2 years, she's been demented. But mind you, she lived till 90, and she actually it was a prime minister, so very heavily stressful job. So she's one of the abnormal ones, and anomaly. So there are a few anomalies amongst us. I also know of a lady, again, that's a bit of a digression, but when I met her, she was a chain smoker, smoked since her teenage years, and she was about 95, and she was sitting in front of me in the clinic. She said, well, I've smoked all these years, and I don't believe what they say about smoking. So, you have to remember that there are some, it is a generalization. It applies to 70% of us. And then if you look at the curves, dome shape, there are 50% on either side, and they make up the 100%. Those 15% on the other side are anomalies. So if you bear that in mind, But in general, what Richmond is saying is true. Now, Henry, before I come to your question, I think probably I'll interrupt with a few questions of mine. I think just to enable others make up their minds if they want to ask questions. So, Richmond, my questions are threefold, actually. Now, we know that there are studies that, if we sleep from 9 to 10 p.m., and we go to bed around those times, we tend to have the optimum benefit of sleep. I mean, I guess probably you accept that as true. And if anytime beyond that, it becomes a bit precarious. The some can push to about 10:30. I mean, I was just interested. It was published in the Guardian and the Daily Telegraph over here. So I guess probably some of us who are interested try to sleep probably latest around 10 p.m. or if you push it around 10:30. Do you have a scientific reason for this? I mean, just
not necessarily, but you see, when someone sleep around 9, then it's expected that if the person is doing like 8 to 9 hours, then we're expecting the person to be awake around 4 or 5. And around that time, you can wake up early enough to prepare and catch any bus, what have you, to wherever you are going.
Okay.
And that is why it appears to be optimal best time to sleep. If you push yourself to 10 or 11, then you are going to wake up somewhere around 6. And that is also going to put a lot of pressure on you. So it is our own schedules. For example, if your work is such that you're a freelancer and you have control over your work, then you can push to go late into the night. But those of us who have employers who expect us to report to work around 7:30, 8:30, sleeping around 9, 9:30 is often the best, so that you do not really get up or cut short your sleep just to be able to get to work on time.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I was just looking at that study, and it's been repeated, over the past 10 years. I'm gonna have to go back and find out a bit more. Now, my other question is this: posture with sleep. I know you didn't have time to address that, but again, if you look at researchers, the posture during sleep tend to optimize the benefits of sleeping. So for those who sleep at their back, tend to benefit. It is good for the spine. It's good really for good musculoskeletal alignment. So they encourage that. And then the other form of posture is actually lying on your side by making sure your spine is straight. And these are the two postures which they think is best. Now, there are some of us who sleep on our front like a starfish. Again, they say it's not good for your abdomen, except when you have a pillow tuck in between your abdomen, and then that's better. Is there a scientific reason for that? Because we all have different postural patterns when it comes to sleep. So that's one aspect of the question. Probably let me allow you to answer this first.
Well, with the sleep and the posture, I'm not too much. I don't have so much information about that, but of course, I've also read where, for example, it is recommended, like you mentioned, sleeping especially on the left side with a supportive pillow, and then of course sleeping also on your back, because all these things help your spine better than maybe sleeping on your stomach or sleeping on the right side. Some say that if you sleep on the right side, you tend to put some kind of pressure on your heart. So it's better to rather go the right way rather, so that you don't stress the heart so much, and then you can enjoy yourself. So those are some of the pieces of information that I have picked. But normally, what as a psychologist we tell people is that sleep in a way that you are comfortable. If you sleep on your side and you do not feel any kind of pain and okay, then perhaps that posture is good for you. But because if you are sleeping and you are hurting your spine, you certainly get a reaction from it. And so that should tell you that no, the way you are sleeping, you need to change your posture. So the posture, and of course, if you are sleeping in the wrong posture, it will cause you to wake up. thereby breaking your sleep and affecting the quality of your sleep. So it is important that you have the best sleep posture too as well, so that you can have prolonged sleep without waking up somehow to adjust yourself and then go back to sleep again.
Okay, that's helpful. In fact, it's a big program called a TED, TED, and very experienced somnologists. I mean, so they well versed in sleep, and they study over the years, and they reflect on the fact that the posture during sleep is best. But I don't think they're assuming that sleeping on your stomach is worse, but they categorize them on the optimized postural pattern, which will help your sleep. Now, my third question, before I allow Henry to ask his question, and probably people will be reflecting on what question to have. My third question is this. Now, there are many mattresses and pillows which help with sleeping, and I'll tell you, well, this is no secret, but we've invested in mattress and pillows, and we did because, of course, because of our work, myself and my wife, because we both in the medical business. So now there is a pillow we call a Tempur, Tempur, and the mattress come along with it. We first tried it with the pillow. Now, I'll tell you, for the first week, I enjoyed my sleep most because you put your head on it, and it's a sinking feeling, as if you're sinking deep into the pit and you never come out. And I really enjoyed my sleep. So we went for the mattress as well. So we have a combo, pillow and mattress, and we haven't regretted. Now, this is a thing, we recommend orthopedic mattresses. Now, has anybody done a study on the pillow or mattress which you need to sleep on? Because these ones have fine air perforation. They're not like foams, but you sleep on them, you think your body is sinking forever, and it is so. For us, it's money well spent. Has anybody, in your department looked into this, or have you done any study into the type of mattress and pillows which you ought to use for optimum sleep?
Well, I think I think you raised an important question here, and it's quite intriguing. And actually, I would want to take it up. I would ask one of my students to look into it to see whether the type of mattress affects sleep quality, because it is important to as well, so that we are informed when we go to the market to buy any kind of mattress to sleep on. We are informed about the type or the best mattress that would give us the optimum benefit of sleep. So I want to believe or speculate that yes, there could be some benefits based on the type of mattress. But for now, I do not have the scientific backing, and I would want to rather investigate that even further.
Yeah, so I've posted that in the chat column for people. But we can say, in fact, our two boys, we made sure everybody in the house did enjoy the pillows, and in fact the mattress is so expensive, but we in fact the two boys also attested the fact that it was so helpful to them, and we know that because of their performances and all that, probably. But I can't see how we can do without it. The name is Tempur. So these are my three questions. I have three more others, but I'll allow Henry. Henry, do you want to go ahead with your question? Henry is there. Henry, hello. Henry should be there. Oh, Henry is not. Henry is not. I guess probably will come on later. Any other questions then? We just waited for Henry. Henry's hand is raised. He's not come back. Any other question?
Yes, please. I have a question.
Oh, yeah, of course. Could you introduce yourself first, and then you go ahead with your question?
Okay, my name is Eunice.
Eunice, yes, Eunice. Eunice Saki,
Right.
is that right?
Yes, please.
Okay, Eunice.
Okay, I wanted to find out what's the best position to sleep? Is it by the tummy, by the left or right or the back? Which one is best and why?
Well, okay, before Richmond answers that question, we've just discussed that. and the posture in sleep. And there are two positions which is thought to be optimum. But again, Richmond had chipped in very nicely to say that the position you find quite comfortable. Is that right, Richmond?
Yes, I normally say that the position you find comfortable is the best. But of course, people recommend sleeping on the side, normally towards the left side of your body, and then also your back. These two are often recommended. Normally, they will tell you that avoid sleeping on your stomach and all that, but based on the two, at least information that we have, sleeping on the side and then also maybe with your back too is fine. But I normally tell people that you can actually tell better which position is good for you. If you sleep in a certain position and you can sleep comfortably for a very long time without any reaction, then perhaps that position is okay for you. But if you sleep in a certain position, maybe on your back or on your side, and you always have some reaction, that means that it's not good for you. And if you continue to do that, it will just disrupt your sleep and you will not enjoy it. So monitor your sleep and see which side of the body that when you sleep on, you feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, it is your comfort that matters. If you want to prolong your sleep in the night, then you have to sleep comfortably. So that comfort is what would ensure that you sleep well. And that's what you need to be on the lookout for.
Does it answer your question, Eunice? Yes. Okay, so back again to Henry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Richmond. Henry Dennis, are you still there?
No, he just called me that you can skip him.
Oh, okay. Oh dear. Okay. So any other questions? Okay, so well, I have two more questions then. Richmond, now you remember the REM, again is the rapid movement, non-rapid movement. That enables us a dream. Now, is the nature of the dream important? For those who have nightmare, is there a reason for that? Because we never have nightmares. Some people will have nightmares, don't want to sleep anymore. So are we talking of sweet dreams, and why are some people prone to nightmares? We know that some medications tend to cause nightmares, but could you relate? And it's important that all of us have NREM, sleep. Now, are you saying that the dreams which we have should be sort of sweet dream, or is irrespective of the type of dream? I think I've Richmond.
Please, can you come again?
Well, you know the non-REM sleep, and it tend to produce lots of dreams. But is the type of dream important? Are we, let's say, people having nightmares during the non-REM sleep can actually disrupt their sleep completely, so they'll wake up perplexed? Or would you say that all the non-REMs dreams should be good ones, like something which will be rewarding?
Okay, so I think it's also a very, very important question, because the nature of dreams is very important. Of course, the content of our dream may be mixed. Sometimes we may not even have the meaning for them. But emotionally, dreams reflect your stress, your fears, and your desires. So, for example, recurring stressful dreams or nightmares may signal some unresolved anxiety. And positive dreams, sweet dreams, can boost your mood and creativity the next day. So if we are getting positive, sweet dreams during the REM state, that would help us to be much more confident and positive during the day. Of course, if we are lacking REM sleep, then, or we are not dreaming, It may be linked with some anxiety, depression, or some PTSD. Nightmares can sometimes even signal emotional overload or trauma. And so sometimes you then may need a therapist or a psychologist who can help you appreciate the content of your dream and see how it's related to your emotion. Myself, just a couple of weeks ago, there was this conference I'd wanted to attend to. I had to work, and I got the call for the conference very short. So I had to quickly work and put together some the paper, and they were not just asking for abstract, they are looking for the full paper. So I had to work. Apart from that, there were so many other things I had to do. So I really stressed myself for about 2 weeks. So there was one night I woke up in the morning and my wife was asking whether I'm feeling any pain in my arms and my body. I said, no, I'm not feeling any pains. I feel okay. I'm fine. She's wondering, am I sure? I say, yes. What happened last night? I said, well, I don't remember anything happened last night. And she then told me that in my sleep, I seems to be struggling. I was raising my, it looks like somebody was pulling my arms and struggling. And so she just put her hand on me and then just calmed me down and all that. But honestly, I could not remember anything. I couldn't remember anything of that sort happening. And so during the day, then it occurred to me, because that is not a sleep apnea where perhaps I was gasping for breath, I could not breathe and all that. No. It was a typical case of sleep terror where you've had so much to do or there's so much on your mind to the extent that the brain, the body itself is finding it difficult to process them. And so sleep and the dreams and some of these things actually gives us an indication that either we are going through too much, we need to slow down or calm down, or there may be some unresolved fear or anxieties or emotional problems we need to work on. So if we're having frequent bouts of nightmares, that is what it means. If we are having very sweet, calm, positive dreams too, that is very great. And of course, that even has the additional benefit of boosting our creativity and helping us even deal with stress better. So the content matters. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not all the case that, because as for the dream, it may, especially if it has to reflect our emotions, it may just pick any skit or any movie you've watched, and then it may reflect in that, but it is actually speaking to your own fears, anxieties, and emotions in a different way. And that's where you may then need a professional therapist to help you uncover the real meaning of the dream.
So, well, just at the back of what you just said, so is it always necessary that we have dreams? Is it a positive thing during the NREM in the face of our sleep? Does it matter? Because some of us could go without having dreams. Does it mean that we have poor quality sleep then?
It matters. Dreams are very good. Of course, it should be often, not. It should be often, if you like. I will not say free every day, but you should, from time to time, you should have, because it helps the brain to process our emotions and our memories and our creativity better. Dreams actually helps to file away all our emotional experiences, and it's important for problem solving too as well. So within a certain period, you should have a couple of dreams. But if for a very long time you are not dreaming at all, and all the dreams that you can think of or remember are those negative nightmares, those ones means that you may be going through a lot and you need to and find out why.
Okay, thank you so much. So, well, again, we get to the very end. Probably having about 5 minutes to wrap up, and I'll allow Richmond to conclude. But this has been a very useful presentation and also interactive. platform. Now, let me go back to Henry. Henry, are you still there? Because I presume you're still recording. The recording is still on. Because this, we're going to make sure we formulate this into a proper, YouTube product, so everybody can go back and play it. Does it make sense to you, Richmond and John?
Yeah, unless, are you talking about a recording?
Yes, the recording.
Yeah,
Because
unless
if I have it on MP4, I can upload it for whoever wants to listen, because it's very fruitful and people can listen to it, because sleep is so important. So my last question then, if anybody with a question, any burning question at all, let me look at the chat column. No, nobody's coming now. So Richmond, can I ask my last question then?
Sure,
Now,
sure.
I know this it's unfortunate that Moses died in a very unexpected. Nobody was expecting. But again, I just want to say that there have been few disasters in people who have sleep apneas. And it could just probably many people who snore can have profound sleep apneas. And over here, where you know that there's a way of correcting it, it's probably has to do with the fatness around their throat, and also the uvula. And so the rattling is such that it can even choke them. And I've come across in the cases where people have had profound sleep, they've died in their sleep. They become very cyanotic, and they had to emergently ask the sleep clinic to review them, and they've introduced a way of helping them breathe using the CPAP machine. So I'm not quite sure with it. For many people who travel outside, probably they're not aware that you could actually depress your respiratory excursions and actually choke yourself because of sleep apnea. You could die in your sleep. Probably some aspect. I know. In fact, you should have done this in two series, because these are some of the morbidities which go with sleep, and it's called sleep apnea.
Yeah.
And have you come across cases where sleep apnea can interrupt people's sleep so profound? These people are always tired, and they're obese. They're prone to all forms of disease, including hypertension, diabetes, and cancers.
Yeah, of course. Sleep apnea is a disorder. It's a disorder, and of course, we've seen cases of people. A friend at the medical school at Kolebu relates to me some of these cases of people who basically got choked in their sleep. So and of course, unfortunately, there was nobody around them.
Yeah.
And so they stopped breathing at some point in time, and then they were not able to recover again. And that is a very serious disorder. And normally where people are snoring, loud snoring and all that, these are some of the symptoms that could help you notice that, yes, this person could be at risk, or the person sleeping and tend to be pausing in their breath. And as a partner or a spouse, once you notice something like that, you want to pay attention to that. Or someone is sleeping and you see that the person is gasping or choking at night, like more or less calling for breath. It means that perhaps you would want to pay a closer look at the person. Daytime sleepiness, despite a full night's sleep in bed, actually is also has been found to be another symptom of sleep apnea. So the person has had enough sleep during the night, but during the day, the person seems to be sleepy. So some of these things are things that, once again, things that has to do with sleep. Many of us tend to take it for granted, perhaps because we don't pay for it. So sometimes we see some of these little symptoms, but we do not pay any serious regard to it. And it's important that we talk about that. But sleep apnea is a disorder. And so if anybody is in the audience and has an issue with that, please try and seek for help. Don't take it for granted, because it can really it can be fatal to you one day. So If you realize that you have been experiencing that gasping for breath at some point in time when you sleep, please just seek for help, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, so just for the audience, apnea just means difficulty with breathing. So sleep apnea. In fact, so if you're excessively snoring, and again you're choking on it, it's good you consult the medics, and they can help, especially the respiratory team. So Richmond, Richmond, do you want to wrap up then, and then we can bring this wonderful presentation to a close?
Yes, I quickly want to wrap up briefly, just to say that sleep is very, very important, especially now that all of us have added a number of years to our age. We are no longer the 15, 16, 17 back then in secondary school. Many of us are in our 40s and what have you. And this is the time that you would want to take sleep seriously. Of course, we have to deal with economic situations, work, traffic, and all that. But in as much as those things are important, our health is also very important. And so let us be very intentional. Let us prioritize sleep. Let us make some extra hours somewhere to improve our sleep too as well. And like our friend who passed, if we are facing challenges like this, let us not sleep on it. Let's talk to someone or seek help, because sometimes the anxieties of this world can cause you sleepless nights. And like they normally say, they say, "Adwindwin wo suniemu." But for those of us who are psychologists, we do not want to look at these, because when people say that, it presupposes that it is when you go to bed you have to be thinking and be worried about things and all that. No, we have to enjoy the sleep. It is not the time for us to be thinking and be worried and anxious about the next day and all that. So we always want to go to sleep relaxed, calm, so that we can enjoy it. So thank you all very much. And I really, really hope that tonight all of us sleep well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richmond. It's such an enriching session, and just for everybody to know that we need to enjoy our sleep. Sleep is Mother's Nature's best effort at immortality. And just remember that being lazy, can be a form of art in helping you relax the body as a whole. So thanks to everyone, and hopefully. Well, probably two suggestions over here. I think I've enjoyed this session so much. It would be good, if outside this platform we try to create a form of guild. It can be either a medical psychology guild, so have a platform where people can be called upon to present something, even if it's once every 2 months. I'm quite happy to come up with some medical scientific series. I mean, just for the laity as well. I mean, you don't want to be quite specific, but I'm quite happy to do that. It will encroach on some of our times. I will see whether we can make time to do that. And so we can group ourselves into a sort of medical scientific guild platform, and it will help the young ones as well. Probably that's the beginning of, we're trying to make sense of Padua. People forget that Padua is actually a learning hub. It's from, I've just put it on the various platforms. Yeah, the word is from a city in Italy where it produced so many innovative brains, including Galileo. We forget that. The people don't know the history behind Padua. So it's an institution which would like to make sure it comes to the top of academy. And I'll encourage all to pay attention to this. And also, I mean, we do have the old student association, that's fine, but we're fervently looking for people who can contribute a bit more than just average £100 or £200. I mean, it's important. That's why I'm trying to take the numbers of others. I want to, don't forget, PIAC is a major link of the Old Student Association. Don't forget, we're part of the Old Student Association, but we're trying to elect some who could have a major impact on the association. We want to we want to build up Padua. So that's a message from today. And thank you so much for attending. And we can close this. Henry, are you happy to close? John, are you quite happy with that?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Yes.
We really appreciate that. We like your chairmanship, and we'll be inviting you for future presentations.
Okay,
Yeah.
John. Yeah, that's
Actually,
right.
we have a seminar series already. We call it Padua Business 05, no, Business 03 lecture series.
Okay.
Padua
So,
Business 03 seminar series or lecture series. And
okay.
this one of them.
Okay, so you could invite
we
some of
can-
us onto your platform. I'm quite happy to give you the names of some of the doctors and pharmacists amongst us, and you can invite them. They will enjoy it because we need to make sense of Padua as a whole. It's good for future. It's good for the young ones. I can see a few young ones, including Nana Kwao, who's on the platform, and it's very refreshing to have Mr. Winston, who is the head of the music department, and I can see other names, and it's all encouraging to us. Let's revive Padua and make sense of everything. We know different from any other schools. I'm sure all of us have friends in Presec, in Fancy Pom, and Achimota. We've interacted a lot. I don't see why Padua should sing. So, John, do invite some of us onto the common platform, and we could make time. Just scroll us in, and we can do some presentation even if for an hour or so.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you, for coming. And on behalf of my chairman, Dr. William Simmons, I would like to say rest in peace again to our departed brother, our departed friend. I also want to thank all of you, the audience, for coming, for showing up. Without you, this presentation wouldn't have been a success. Really appreciate your time. We appreciate your questions, and I believe this is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. There are more things ahead, more presentations ahead. So all will depend on your attendance, because it's your attendance that encourages us to do more. And thank you very much, Dr. Coleman, for coming. Despite your busy schedule, when I spoke to you, you handed the invitation. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So Dr. Simmons will work on the MP4 and give it to you so that you can